this is the medium, the youngest one, the eldest. Yeah. Julian is
Thank you for coming today. My dad would be overwhelmed with all your love and support, and you know, I'm just so overwhelmed by all his friends and how kind you've all been. It was his birthday yesterday, and if we can all just think about what a wonderful person he was, caring and kind. He was just an amazing dad, and I really miss it, and that's all I want to say. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Right, well, I know Dave meant so much to lots of people, and we all loved him in lots of different ways. We're going to have a poetry show, and there's a few people that are going to read his poems. We've got his artwork. I say artwork. He's got hundreds and hundreds of pieces of artwork, and this was just a little selection. Dave was prolific as an artist, as a satirical politician, as a poet.
Most of my role in the focus group, because Ian and I were part of the Church of the Militant Elvis focus group. I think I was the political communications officer. I spent a fair amount of time with Dave over the last 20 years or so, and yeah. But the point I was going to say, my bit was the political bit, but his politics actually were really a form of artistic expression, I think. It was kind of performance art, which he you know, put out there, everywhere. George Bush, Tony Blair, whatever. We used to email all these people. I used to be terrified of the consequences of some of the emails that went from my home. Dave got involved in all sorts of political campaigns, you're probably aware. So from whenever that was, 1997, until 2019 in the general election, when he stood in Broxtowe. So standing in Erewash, political statement, Militant Elvis Party. Robert Kilroy Silk became notorious a few months ago when he said, "What have the Arabs ever done for us?" Well, what about algebra, the Garden of Eden, gerbils, Princess Di's last boyfriend, syrup of figs, sultana cake, and the owner of Fulham Football Club? We believe that the fanatical anti-European Mr. Kilroy talks so much crap that he should sell his second home in Spain and buy one near the East Midlands' largest sewage farm in Stoke Bardolph, Nottinghamshire, if the locals don't object. So those things were hitting the press all over the place. And I just wonder what the reporters, you know, that they came to know Dave and to love his stuff. Dave used to read the Daily Star. He used to buy the Sunday Sport to get images and ideas that he might be able to communicate. But he was also very well read. So he could quote E.P. Thompson and George Orwell easily. So I attribute that to Dave, and yeah, very, very pleased to have known him.
Brilliant. Okay, so I'm Andrew. I was a great friend of Dave. I've been involved in running Sumac Centre for 20 years, and one of the contributions Dave gave to Sumac Centre was to ensure that the building stayed held together by his paintwork. Dave used to help us. He used to paint the fire escape that's out there and keep it from rusting away, and advise on the wood and timber work of the window frames. So Dave was great, very practical. I write poetry and I like singing, and so I was an admirer of Dave's political and satirical views on life. So Dave, we miss you all. You're great, and your memory lives on in all we do, in all we think, in all we say, in all we write and sing. So this one is called, this one is called Green Suede Shoes. Well, you can knock me down, step on my face, Drag my knitting all over the place, chuck my lentils down the organic loo. But my honey, lay off them shoes, and don't you step on my green suede shoes. Well, you can do anything but lay off my green suede shoes. You can burn my muesli, steal my bike, take my money and do a recycle. Jump in my compost with my beanbag too. But aha, baby, lay off them shoes. And don't you step on my green suede shoes. Well, you can do anything but lay off them green suede shoes. Well, you can kick my windmill and bottle my bank. Hit on my head with an ethical grown plank. Throw me in a pot with a chickpea stew. Lay off them shoes. And don't you step on my green suede shoes. Oh my anything but you can do but lay off them green suede shoes. Aha, thank you.
I didn't get to know Dave until a few years ago. I gave him lists to appointments and dropped off my lasagna that he loves so. I remember Charlotte, his daughter, my best friend, telling me he was a bit of a campaigner. Then I saw a picture of him on the front page of my daily paper. I realised it must have been Charlotte's dad, Dave. As she mentioned, he was a little eccentric and would stand out in a crowd. But underneath it all, I know Charlotte was really proud. He was one of the people campaigning for issues important to him, and thousands of others too, as he lobbied that Beeston should have a place for a public loo. So there he was on the front page of my paper that I'd already read, with a picture of him with a toilet seat on his head. When Dave was quite poorly and Charlotte was sorting out his house, I went over to help her out. I was astounded at all the wonderful art I saw, and then I saw Charlotte throwing a Guy Fawkes puppet flying past the door. Oh my word, what the hell was that? I said. Oh, it was my dad's Guy Fawkes and Margaret Thatcher's head. He was a proud man who didn't like any fuss. Charlotte, leave it. Come back another day, he would say. And when Charlotte would ring in to check if he'd got home after having what he thought was a sneaky pint, Charlotte, stop fussing. I'm home, all right. I know he was proud of his family, his daughter and his granddaughter, Scarlett and Amelia too. A special bond they will never lose. I didn't know Dave until too late, one of my life's regrets. But the time I did, I am thankful for. So today, let's celebrate this character who is a little eccentric and definitely not a bore. I'm sure no one here today will ever forget Dave in any way. He'll always have a place, a special place in your memories, and you'll just smile as you think of him and have a little chuckle and a big wide grin. So to all of you here today, let's celebrate Dave's life, Lord Biro, aka.
Dave was an accoster of people, and I think that's what I loved about him most. I used to live in Forest Fields in the early noughties, and I'd just walk past Falcon Grove, which I'm delighted to see the road has still not been finished there, so at least some things remain consistent. And he'd just kind of call you over, and he'd have that lovely plastic bag full of flyers, and he'd pull something out, and he'd hand it to you. And he'd do it in a very good humour. He'd tell you what was wrong with the council, he'd tell you what's wrong with neoliberal politics, and then he'd make you smile. So I think he was a really wonderful person. It's very weird reading Dave's poems, because really, I don't know, for me he's a visual flyer kind of person. You know, I mean, I've just noticed this that I'd never seen before. Banned St George's Day, the Royal Society for the Protection of Cruelty to Dragons. It's just brilliant. So I don't think the poems on their own get across his full humour, but I'll try with this one, which is called It's Only a Job. It's only a job. It's only a job, the Light Brigade thundered as they rode through the Valley of Death. It's only a job, Nelson said to a kiss as he waved au revoir to his breath. It's only a job, Sitting Bull sang to the Souks as Custer looked up to the sky. It's only a job, Bill said with a glint as Harold got one in the eye. It's only a job, the priests said to themselves as the enemy screamed on the cross. It's only a job, Atkins said with a shrug as he hammered some nails for his boss. It's only a job, Eichmann said with a click as he rang up and ordered the gas. It's only a job, said the devil with pride as he swung on the Liberty Bell. It's only a job, the president boomed as he sent Nagasaki to hell. It's only a job, the officers snapped as I resigned from the dole with their pen. It's working with robots, she said with a sneer. it's only like working with men.
I thought Dave's environmental poetry is probably the best there is. I don't think there's anybody who does environmental poetry like Dave. Dave is so many different things. Anyway, I'll give you this poem and then see what you think. It's called Rio d'Amor. Great anaconda slides through stinking mud with glistening scales and empty eye, devouring whole forests in its path, while mahogany giants stand and mourn. Earth they've lived since Christ was born, not drawn and quartered in one day for groaning tables far away, where high priests of Mammon math, like graven vessels of frozen grass, held by the wives in supine stood, flushed with the taste of peasants' blood, as flying fox and spotted cat kneel before a wooden shack and pray to God in panther black, while funeral pyres light up the sky the night that Chico Mendes died. Great anaconda rears up high, his hunger never satisfied. The fat high priest his eye espy in concrete jungles on distant banks. Great anaconda smiles and starts to glide down the river of death with jaws held wide. The bride said bed, the groom complied, and his mind was led, and his mind was led, and his mind was led. I mean, Dave is many things, many things. Baldy, rude, fashionista style, a great politico. I mean, he managed to, many times I was wound up by this, that and the other, and same with Ian. And he just basically just calm us down and just say it very clearly how he saw things. Every time, in real life, he was is umming and ahhing, but getting a microphone and a TV camera crew in front of him, and he was word perfect. We can't avoid that it's sadness, but as you know, Dave was fun. So we're going to have some food at some point, and then a film show. Okay.
Home 20 years ago when Edwina Currie, Tory Minister of Agriculture, got a sack saying that battery hen farms in the UK were riddled with salmonella.
Labour MPs voted to bomb Syria as well, including Angela Edel. Cameron should have put her in his honours list. Dame Angela Edel has a nice ring to it, don't you think? Mr Corbyn rebelled against Iraq.
Go round here, bloody fracking! Anyway, I've just written this little poem which I'm going to send to him by carrier pigeon. It's called A Message to Donald from Woodhead. File it.
Or for now.